the last episode of season 9.
All right.
Yeah, it's end of July.
This is July.
Let's do it.
Welcome to the Coaching Life podcast, last episode of season 9. Coach, how you feeling today?
I feel fantastic. I bet that's a little better than you feel.
I don't know. I feel good. Tired, but I feel good.
I'd say you're pretty energized.
Yes.
So Coach Martin had his youth camp. First night of youth camp last night, right?
Did. Let's back up, though.
Oh, okay.
Sunday night, I was in Glenville, West Virginia, at the Sue Morris.
Glenville State University.
Near, but is it closer? Is
right
it in
up the hill
Weston?
from that park that you're playing in.
It is. So
yeah,
it's-
they play their home games there at the
'cause
Sue
we're in
Morris
Glenville,
complex.
yeah, so
the Sue Morris.
Yeah,
There's
Sue Morris
nothing
Sports
there
Complex.
except for that sports complex and a McDonald's, right?
And the Glenville Inn, I think they call it, or something like that.
Did you stay there?
I did not, but I know people that did. They said their TVs are still the box TVs. Like it's the
Zenith.
It's a rustic. Yeah, right.
We
It's
had
a
one
real
of those.
rustic.
Yeah.
You had one?
When I was growing up.
Oh, yeah,
my
me
parents
too.
had them, but
Sure.
the record player too. There's a record. Not the TV didn't have a record player, but the record player was a separate.
On top.
No, I mean it looked like the same furniture style. Like
Oh.
the TV was here and the record player was over on this wall.
I got you.
You put the record in, and
I got you.
man, we are really dating ourselves. I was a little kid though when I saw that.
There's viewers out there saying, "What's a record player? The heck are you?"
They
guys
know.
talking
They've come back. Everything's come full circle.
about? Yeah,
Kimberly has
that's
a
true.
record player.
That's true.
Yeah.
Pretty neat. But anyways, I was in Glenville, which from our geographic location is about 2 hours away. 2 hours of very twisting, winding, curvy roads.
In the state of
West Virginia.
country roads. Am I getting text?
You are.
I'm getting text messages as soon as we begin the podcast. Every time we record.
I'm not used to.
Why does that happen?
I'm not used to the sound though. I feel like we might.
I usually
an
have the
issue.
sound turned off.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, that's okay. I won't say who it was. But
Okay, good.
Well-
Keep me in suspense.
So, anyways, we played in the silver bracket. My youngest son Jeremiah played in a tournament down there, and we played in the silver bracket championship, which started at 9:20
AM.
p.m. The silver bracket championship started
On
at
a
9:20
Sunday.
On a Sunday night, yeah.
How is that even possible?
They had other
I mean,
tournaments.
hopefully the tournament director isn't a regular podcast listener.
Well, if he
because I
is-
can't even imagine how
If
you
you just
can
call
have,
in and talk about it, because I would like to understand. I have some questions myself, but
So you began your championship game at 9:20 p.m. on Sunday.
yes,
Were all the games being played on one field?
no.
All right,
I-
give
I-
me your best
I
assessment
can't really.
as
I
to
mean,
what happened there.
There was 2 fields. There was 4 different divisions on 4 fields, maybe. I'm thinking there was.
Well, like the gold, silver, bronze.
No. I mean, there was a 10U,
Oh,
12U,
yeah, different ages.
a 13U, and
so they
a
wouldn't be playing on the same field.
and a 16U.
Yeah.
16U and 13U played on the same fields.
Okay.
I don't know the last time you've been there, but they have a turf field that is a high school.
Yeah, that's
size
the one that
field.
Glenville State plays on. Brock actually had a senior night.
Oh, Glenville State does play on that field.
Yeah.
Well, I seen the padding said Glenville State, but I thought they had another place to play
Nope,
on.
that's their
It's
field.
a really nice
Yeah,
field. I mean,
yeah.
it's a great.
Yeah, their senior night was rained out at Aldous and Broadus on their natural surface field, and so they moved it to Glenville State, and so they had to do their senior day.
Oh.
They actually also during that weekend clinched a spot in the MEC tournament
On that field.
which was pretty cool. Yeah,
Sweet.
So it was a good day.
It's a
overall.
really nice complex, really nice. And then there's a dirt field over the hill that is it's huge. It's I think the fences are 350 all the way around.
Wow, I didn't see
It's
that.
massive. But it's a dirt field. They can't put turf down there because it floods or something like that. But so anyways, I don't know. But anyway, we left Glenville, West Virginia at about 11:30. Made it home about 1:30, which
I'm just still in my mind trying to figure out how you get that backed up on a, like, did they continue?
that wasn't backed up. That was the scheduled championship time. Now,
You're kidding.
when we no, when we
So you knew it going in that if you get the championship, you're going to be there until 1 a.m. or 11:30.
well, in the silver bracket championship, but honestly, we planned to be in the gold.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
but
the
I mean, you
gold
knew there was
started.
a chance.
The gold started at 8 a.m. The gold bracket play started at 8 a.m.
So they played the entire gold bracket on the same, on
Pretty much.
and then they play on the same field the entire silver bracket.
Well, they played the whole gold bracket. We're getting really messy.
Yeah,
here.
I guess.
They played the whole gold bracket on the dirt field besides one game, I think. Or maybe it was all down there. But the 16U division played all their games on the turf field.
Okay, gotcha.
So then the silver bracket of the 13U started after the 16U or 15U of the dirt on the up on the turf field. But
rather make the silver bracket.
what saved us was the first game of the 13U. Ours was played down on the dirt field.
Mm-hmm.
When we got there, our first game was at 5:40. If we won, we had to wait until 9:20 to play in the championship.
Man, with nothing to do. And
When we got, well, I mean, you've been there. When we got there, they were an hour behind.
oh man,
So we're thinking our championship game is going to start about 10:30.
yeah.
But what happened is we got our game played on the dirt field, and as we were playing on the dirt field where they were behind, they were on time up at the turf field.
So you
So
were able
instead
to,
of a game break, we just played 2 back-to-back, which ended up
Smooth
being
fields, yeah.
ideal.
yeah.
But still, driving home I think
All that to say,
we drove home.
yeah.
So I had to have seen, no exaggeration, at least 50 deer. I don't know what the number is.
I know the road you're talking about.
Just crazy.
yeah.
Just deer.
Yeah, I'm sure they're like, "What are you guys doing out here? This is our territory at this time of night."
But anyways, and then yesterday we had a long day.
Yeah, yeah. You came right home, got a handful of hours of sleep.
Which is not very much. I need a lot of sleep.
That's right.
Not very
That's
much for
right.
me,
That's right.
but got
Well,
enough.
and we did. Yesterday was a full day. Actually, here I brought something. I want to show you something.
Okay.
Since we're already talking about yesterday,
Sure.
right? Since getting ready to say what we did yesterday.
Yeah.
Come on.
Look at that, Feeney Bennett.
That's right. So there are going to be people who don't know what this is. So we can talk about yesterday now.
And that's not who our.
It's not who our
sponsor
sponsor is,
Although
but-
it might be. We're going to talk about maybe a dual.
Yeah, they could. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's happened before. Two different posts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Posts of what?
American Legion.
That's
posts.
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So a crisp 9 a.m., which I was very pessimistic
that's
about.
good.
Not negatively. I just didn't really think there would be that many kids show up at 9 a.m. to try out for a Meigs
impressive.
County Legion baseball program. And we had 23 kids there, I think, in the morning session.
Meigs County, a rural county in southeastern Ohio. A few weeks ago, Pat and I started talking about
Just a couple.
wanting to bring back American Legion baseball to our area. It's been a year or two, a couple of years since the team has kind of been sporadic in the last few
It's
years.
been 2
right?
years since they've had a team, and
It's
I
been
think
2 years,
on
and it
off.
really actually it wasn't sporadic. It was pretty consistent there for.
I can't really remember.
It went away and then came back, but because
I
of
think there was a
good people
couple
basically
years.
saying I want to do it, and then raising all the funds themselves and doing it, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And that's pretty much what we're going to do too. But American Legion baseball, at least in the state of Ohio, used to be very, very strong.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say used to be, I'm talking it wasn't that long ago, 20 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe. Less than 20 years ago, maybe 15.
I think we
years
had
ago.
8 teams in our district when I
we
played.
had yes. So when I this is the hat that I'm wearing. FB stands for Feeney Bennett Post 128.
Yeah.
One of my first real big my first head coaching gig in in Ohio when I moved back from St. Louis
So that was your coaching. That was the team you coached.
This was our. We had two hats. We had a blue one and then a red one with just the opposite colors. So red here, blue here, and with the white FB. And there's a story about why I put FB on it as well, and put the Feeney Bennett name on it also. Back then in the early 2000s, I was going around trying to gather. We had the team was dominated by kids from Meigs High School. It was mostly a Meigs High School Legion team. And I couldn't figure out why kids from Southern or Eastern wouldn't come out. Those are the two other schools in Meigs County. And, of course, we also had kids from Gallia end up coming as well, because there was not – American Legion Baseball works where if there's a post that is within a certain range of your school, then those kids have got to play for that post or else they get released or whatever. Well, there wasn't a post near Gallia County kids or Meigs County kids, and so we had two counties that could make up this particular team, which is going to be about the same as what we're looking at for this year or next year. But so I found out from some of the kids from Southern and Eastern that, and it sounds silly, right? It's very, very silly to think about it like this, but I guess you can understand. They were still wearing the same uniforms pretty much, I think, that I wore back in 1994. Maybe you. Did you wear the pinstripe ones that just said Meigs in block letters?
Were they blue? Blue pinstripe?
White uniforms, blue pinstripe with Meigs across the front. Yeah. Yeah. Those uniforms, I don't know how they held up. I mean, they don't make uniforms like they used to. Those uniforms held up.
I mean, they weren't. I don't recall them being like, woolly, like really
no.
thick.
It had a polyester feel, summer feel to it. Yeah. So anyway, it just said Meigs.
Yeah.
Right. That's all it said. And then you had your number on your back. I think it actually had the post name on the back too. And I had kids say that they're not wearing a jersey that says Meigs. Like, you got to be kidding me. Like, you're not going to come out and play summer baseball because, and you're like, oh, I'll look to play somewhere else. I'm just not going to. I mean, that's how much these rivalries are, in our county. It's not like, it really isn't like that anymore. I don't think kids really care about that kind of thing as much anymore. Maybe some do, but it was strong back then, man. It was strong.
I don't feel like it was that way when I played.
You do feel like it was? I don't either. But anyway.
And it was then?
There was like one kid from Southern. Yeah, actually, there was hardly any kids from Eastern on the team. I had a bunch. No, when I played, there was a bunch of kids from Eastern and Southern on the team. And so anyway.
And when I played, I talked about that a little bit. I had friends from Southern and Eastern. I mean,
and I feel like it's that way now.
I think so.
Yeah. But anyway, maybe it was just like a little pocket of time, between 2002 and 2007 when the kids hated each other or something. I don't know. But no, they didn't. They actually didn't hate each other. I just think it was just, and it may not have been as big of a deal as I thought it was. Maybe I just wanted new uniforms. And so anyway, I approached the Post and I said, we need money and I'm going to fundraise for some of it, but can you help us? And the idea is, I want to take the name Meigs off of the jersey and maybe just put like Post 128 or put the name Feeney Bennett. So we did like Feeney Bennett on the jersey with Post 128 in the tail of the words, and then the FB on the hat. And I think the Reverend even said like Post 28 on the back. But yeah, we ended up it helped a little. I mean, we had a pretty good number of kids from all three schools plus Gallia, come out, and those teams did really well. But I guess to get back to the point of the participation and the growth versus, or the way, the strength of American Legion ball in Ohio back then versus what it's like now, or what it has been like recently. But I think it's probably going to build back up. I really truly believe it's going to build back up.
I think we're approaching that wave.
There's a cycle.
Back around. I think at least from a baseball perspective, the allure of travel baseball is wearing off. And I know when I say that, there's going to be people out there that
say you don't know,
and you don't know what you're talking about. And the thing is, I don't think they would disagree with me, is that there's much more travel baseball teams now than there was 10 years ago.
Everybody has to agree with that.
Yeah, there's no disagree.
Which means a program that once was everybody that played it was elite,
right,
is not anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I don't, it's not, it's just the way, it's just an evolution.
It's a different
of how things
option
work.
for baseball now.
Yeah, and I think
it's not like, oh, you've got local rec league, American Legion ball, and travel ball, and
Right.
only a select few can play travel ball. Now travel ball is just a different option because you'll have American Legion or rec teams who could smoke a lot of travel teams
oh yeah,
on the
you
field,
will.
right?
Yeah.
And that wouldn't have been the case 20 years ago, probably.
Right.
You'd been hard pressed to find a travel team that your rec team could beat.
Right.
And that's kind of what we're saying, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, but
I think in the long run that it'll come back again, where travel,
Yeah, it very well
travel
could.
become,
Yeah.
I just think it's the way things work.
It does.
And,
Things
what
cycle.
people look for and things like that. So
well, in 2007, when we played in the American Legion State Tournament here at Athens on a campus of Ohio University, which is where the state tournament used to be. I played at Bob Wren Stadium, and then some games were played at Athens High School, and some games were even played at Dalton Field down on the West
really?
State Street. Yeah, we finished a game at Athens High School that we started on Dalton. Our first game was against Steubenville, and they were beating us by 14 runs. One of the most incredible baseball stories that I've ever been a part of, and we came back and tied it.
Wow.
And it's a 14-run deficit is in the American Legion record books as we're tied for like the 10th, 8th, or in the top 10 of scoring that many runs from in a comeback fashion.
So you won the game?
They were sure they were going to mercy rule us, right? And then we just chipped away. Like we got like 5 runs, and so they had to play another inning, and we held them, and then we came back and then we got another 5 runs, and then in the 7th we got one, we tied it, and the game remained tied. They ended up using their ace, and we were using ours anyway. But Steubenville, I think, had won the year before. They were the state champion the year before, previous, and they were the top seed. There wasn't any. The seeding was weird. The American Legion, I don't know if they still do it this way, but back then when there was 32 teams here, you would have a banquet on Sunday night,
Yes.
and then you would draw out of a hat. It was a blind draw for seeding.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because every district's different. Like it's hard to if you won your district, who's to say that your team is a lot better? Like how do you seed from there?
Right.
So it was just a blind draw. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because and so I guess
I know I'm pretty sure they still have that banquet. I remember
you're
talking to Coach Sean Arnott, who coached.
Yeah, and they went to the state. Last time Meg's had a team, they went to the state, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe it may not have been the last time.
No. Yeah, you're right. 3, 4, 6 years ago.
There's been 2 years since there's been a team in Meigs County, and probably 4 years ago they went to the.
Yes, I think that's about right. Yeah.
But in 2007, I think like you said, there were 8 teams in the district.
Yeah,
right. I think
like
that there
that's
was
what
there was 6 or 8. I could think of 6 off the top of my head. Athens, Meigs, Gloucester, Logan, Pickerington, Lancaster. I don't think MacArthur had one at that time. And then the year after that, Gallia added a team, and so then what happens there is since Gallia Post added a team, it took away the kids from Meigs County.
Yes.
And now they got to play for Gallia, but that's okay. I mean, and so teams have been added and taken away over the years, but I'm pretty sure there was at least 30 teams. So I'm thinking there were 32 teams, so 32 districts, just as far back as 2007. Now, my understanding is they've had to restructure because of the lack of participation in American Legion baseball in the state of Ohio. They've had to restructure the districts, and there are fewer districts. I think they actually call them regions now. Maybe they still call it.
They do have a region component, because I know they're going to have next year. At least I've heard that they're voting on to make 4 super regions.
Oh, super regions.
So
Okay, that's a good idea. Yeah,
4 regions coming together as opposed to all those, what they had now. So, and I'm not for sure.
Well,
I'm thinking they only have 8 districts.
8.
Right
I think you're right. I think there are 8 teams at the state.
And what they're
tournament,
basically doing,
which is happening right now,
those districts into regions. I think
combining districts and regions. Okay, yeah. But that just shows you how American Legion baseball today is a fraction of what it was just a handful of years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And anyway, I think it's exciting what we saw yesterday.
It was.
What we experienced yesterday.
Yeah, I like I said, that first tryout session at 9 a.m. I really didn't expect the number of kids that showed up. So,
right.
23 kids show up at 9 a.m. and it was just.
We planned for 2 sessions of tryouts, and we're talking about bringing American Legion Baseball a team back, right? Like a senior team. And while we're talking about this, Pat's he's a big dreamer. He's a big thinker. So he's like, let's just do 3 teams. What? We haven't had 1 team in 2 years. But you're like, we can do a senior team, a junior team, and then a 15U team. And we'll just put them all in the same tryout.
That I was confused about, because when I played, there was a Legion team.
Yeah.
I'm not for sure what the age
like
was.
a 20 and under, or 19 and under, right? Ages.
I guess.
And I know there was no junior team. I mean, we could have made a junior team. Like Lancaster always had a junior team.
But
nobody else really in our.
What did they do?
But not under the American Legion umbrella. Like American Legion was very clear that they were not going to sanction Junior Legion.
So they
back
changed.
then. They may sanction. Do they sanction it now?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they do. There's a 17U.
Good.
Or Junior Legion state tournament.
Yeah, I think it was just kind of an independent thing. Lancaster, Al Beavers and Lancaster had a lot to do
probably
with organizing
one of the reasons they
stuff.
decided to sanction it is because of participation levels.
Right.
As they've dropped, they needed to pick, because that Athens won the Junior Legion state championship last year.
And they did not even have a senior team.
Right.
That was the only Legion team they had. Because
I don't know. Did they have a junior team this year?
They did. They had both this year.
They did. Okay.
Yeah.
So I know, that group of kids that won it went up to senior, and then now they've got a group of juniors. So,
right.
And that's kind of the idea of what we tried to do is, have a 15U group, which American Legion doesn't have a tournament for or sanction.
Right. But there are teams in our state, or American Legion programs, we should say, in our state, who do sponsor younger teams.
Yep.
Chillicothe has like 5 teams that they sponsor, I think.
Yeah.
757s, 747s.
Colts.
Yeah, a bunch of Colts teams. Yeah.
Right. And that wasn't me dreaming, Coach. Someone reached out to me and was asking about.
But did you know we were going to have the kind of participation we ended up with?
No, not at all. And really impressed for that. I think we ended up with 26 kids that came out for those 15U group. So
between the 2 sessions.
Yes.
Yeah. So that very likely could become 2 15U teams if all those kids are committed to play and we can find enough coaching for it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And then I think we maxed out or like right around on our
on the 19
and 17U. So,
but you're only allowed to roster 18 in American Legion baseball still. Is that the case? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, we talked about, and we say we really we're the benefactor of a group of people
we're not coaching
that
these
have
teams.
agreed to coach and have a desire to coach, and lost my train of thought there. We would and we're going to try to do some admin work for them to take some of that pressure off of them, but
we're talking about the rosters being filled to 18.
We didn't do. We're not planning on doing anything outside of just helping them make this a reality.
Get it started.
Yeah, right. So, and because we know it's something that's needed in our area for, kids of that age.
Well, I'm sure you were excited to see the number of kids that showed up in your maroon and gold uniforms, and I was certainly excited to see the number of kids that showed up in
a lot of
green.
Eastern.
Wait, speaking of maroon and gold.
I'm wearing a baseball shirt.
Yeah. I did that last week. I had a shirt on that just said baseball. I think Mizuno baseball. Yours is Under Armour baseball. So,
I don't know why I did that this morning, but maybe it was the only one clean.
Just you're tired of people saying he needs to find a new shirt.
This is. I mean, I don't have many more options. I can tell you that. I know what I was going to say. The point that I was going to make is that we don't have a lot of options for kids in that age group. From 13 to 18U in our area. So to be able to give them that
rec
option
or travel,
and
neither nor, right?
Right. Yeah. Sure.
You got to drive.
Yeah.
How far are you guys going to get to your team
Belfry,
for Jeremiah?
And then there's a.
Well, that's pretty. That's about as close as you could find.
Oh yeah, it's really a good.
Yeah.
It's been a good deal for us.
Because historically, kids in our area have driven as far away as Lancaster, Ohio, which is 45. Well, not for Meigs County, it's an hour. right?
Yeah, hour and 15 minutes.
Is it?
Hour.
Yeah, like 45 minutes from here, from Athens.
Yeah, depending on where you're going.
Yeah. Parkersburg, West Virginia. So another half an hour, 40 minutes
And
or
then
so.
Columbus, Grove City. There's a lot of kids that go to Grove City.
Yeah.
Or go down
So
south to Huntington.
Very little, if any, real travel.
Yeah, and we've lost our, and it's not just yeah, right. And we've lost our,
in the locale that we live in.
for that age group, we've lost our summer options, for these kids. That's one thing that sets on my mind as a high school baseball coach is what are my kids doing in the off season.
I've got something I want to play for you here in a little bit. Here, so we doing this yesterday on my drive back home. It just got me thinking, like a little nostalgia. It was going on because I'm like, American Legion baseball, back into it again. And I was thinking about when you and I first started this podcast, when we decided to start the podcast, and one of the things that we were talking about is I remember mentioning, or I think you specifically mentioned it, that we have one of the purposes for this podcast was, you mentioned we have a heart for our community and wanting kids to have opportunities in our community. And that's what you were just talking about. There really isn't for this age group much opportunity. And I went back this morning and was listening to some of our early episodes. I'm talking like episode 1, episode 6, some of those early ones.
PDP.
Episode 1 outlines, we asked the question, why on earth are we starting a podcast? Like, why are we, at that time, there's like 540,000 podcasts in the world, I think I said. And this was in 2018, maybe. Is that when we started?
19.
Now there's almost, was it? You know how much podcasting has grown? I haven't even looked this
So there was 500,000 then?
540 some thousand podcasts that had been recorded. Oh, there's millions now. It's crazy. We live in a country, like the amount of information that we are able to generate, it's doubling every day. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So anyway, let me make sure that this is turned up a little bit. We'll have to grab those headphones because you're not gonna be able to hear it.
Okay, gotcha.
Just for this. We've become non-headphone users here on the podcast recently.
It messes up my hair for the video.
There we go. So let's see. This is episode number 1. And I think in the context of why would we want to start a podcast, considering the fact that there's a ton of podcasts out there already. I'm asking you the question.
540,000.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Or more podcasts out there in the world. Why would we assume that we have something to say that is different? What's going to make ours different from not just those 540,000 podcasts, but thousands of those are sports related, coaching related, parenting related. What do you think?
Well, personally for me, I think the audience for us is what makes it different because, we're kind of grounded in our community. We have a lot of thought as to what we need to do to make our community better, or our communities. And for us, I think to give someone in our community, in our area, the accessibility to a podcast like this, where we're going to talk about sports and talk about baseball and coaching and all these different things that might be able to help them become better coaches, help them become better people. I just think it's an opportunity for people in the southeastern Ohio area to get involved.
So it brings a more localized feel to the podcast world. I mean, I guess we could recommend certain sports podcasts. Like I listen to several myself. The ABCA, the American Baseball Coaches Association podcast. I listen to the Top Coach podcast, Ahead of the Game by Jonathan Gellner, Baseball Outside the Boxers. I mean, I can just go on and list all these podcasts I listen to. The content that we are going to talk about may actually, because we live here in Appalachia, we are part of we see the tension between rec ball versus travel ball. We see the small town coaching challenges, parent coach challenges, parenting challenges with kids playing ball and things like that, that maybe this particular podcast might be a little more relevant to those that in this particular region,
Exactly, and I think
or maybe even other regions all over the country that are in small towns like this as well. Who knows?
Sure, absolutely. Well, I think sometimes
global.
when someone says, "Well, I listen to this podcast," and they, you recommend that to somebody else, there might be a little intimidation factor there,
Yeah.
where they're like, "I don't." It sounds like a good idea, but they never get.
I think we go on talking more about like just podcasts in general there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's where we're at. And we've come pretty full circle here.
Take these off.
Yeah. I got another one I want to play for you that you're going to be interested in hearing too.
Okay.
It's from the same episode, but
Yeah.
go ahead. Yeah,
well, I mean, I think I mentioned last week when we got together that, I went back and listened to the episode that you interviewed me on when I became the coach, just to see if,
our second most popular episode. I went back and looked. It is.
What was the first? Yours?
That's episode 1.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, both of those did well.
got
We did
all
like
those,
a coaching life announcement or whatever.
Got all those folks
Jimmy
from
Burrows.
Southeast Ohio
Jimmy
preps.
Burrows episode is still up there.
Is it? I'd wonder what.
Well, I
do you
just
have our
think,
top 5?
I'll look it up. I got my computer, so I'll look it up.
Oh, okay.
But no,
Right.
I think it illustrates though exactly what we're talking about. The fact that the episode where we announced that you're becoming the varsity baseball coach at Meg's just illustrates the fact that the large majority of our audience, which is our target, we want local people to listen. We don't care. Like we like that we get messages from people from Wisconsin and
Istanbul.
Michigan and Istanbul, yeah, Canada, but. Because if it's relevant, it's useful to you, that's great. But we really have a heart we would love for everybody in Meigs County and Athens County to listen.
Yeah. And in relation to that episode, where we announced that I was the coach at Meg's, I went back and listened. So just because you asked me to describe basically what my principles were and what kind of coach I wanted to be and what I expected and things like that. And I went back and listened just to make sure. And it's been 3 years. I've been through 3 seasons. Maybe I go back and make sure I'm still following the same path, or maybe realign. Realign back to where I wanted to be, or maybe even change something. To think about. Well, I was wrong, but. In the same regard, it's good to know that, now 5 years later, 6 years later, that we're still, having that same goal of, trying to impact the community and the kids that are in our community, trying to give them opportunities to play much the same way. So what we're doing here aligns with the Coaching Life podcast and the Coaching Life in general, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. The top 10 episodes
Here we go.
of the Coaching Life podcast.
This is good stuff.
As of today.
Should we do this another
Episode
time? Talk
rankings.
about them?
This is and who knows, a lot of these are going to change. They look like they probably change.
Of course, I did
Because
listen to
they're
the
very-
episode where you interviewed me 800 times.
That's right.
I don't.
Yeah.
Just to drive that.
I think
up.
your mom and dad had quite a few downloads on that one too. I think. But a lot of these have very similar numbers. Like the numbers are really close. They're within the same 50 to 100, listens or whatever. If there's over 1,000 listens, there's some that are like 825, 812, 808, and so they're real close.
Yeah.
The introduction to the Coaching Life podcast is the number one most listened to episode. Another special Coaching Life announcement, which is episode 108. That is yours. Jimmy Burrow, raising an unstoppable athlete. This is where we talked about Joe being a candidate for the relentless Tim Grover as a type of player.
That was 3.
That's the number. That's episode 114.
Oh, okay.
Jimmy
Okay.
Burrow,
Yeah,
Burrow.
good.
That's the third most
Sure,
downloaded
yeah.
episode.
Different, right? Different. You got to be different to be that unstoppable player.
There's something different. Yeah. This is interesting to me. Episode number 110, which is this is the 4th most downloaded episode. It was titled "Good Player but Not a Good Teammate."
Ooh.
Do you remember what that was? That conversation? Because these are all conversations, right? What was that? Was about
I don't remember.
kids who have a lot of athleticism, but maybe they're a little bit. They could be a cancer to the team, or they're not. I mean, they're not. I
things
have to go
aren't
back and listen to that.
when things aren't going well. They think that they only
You
live
get
on the
real
field.
cold.
Yeah.
Yeah. Either you're real hot or you're real cold. Oh, we were just talking about that yesterday, weren't we?
Body
I'm not
language.
going to mention any names,
Yeah.
but we were talking about that yesterday.
Yeah.
That's right. PDP, Player Development Program, episode number 2, which is titled "Training the Coach."
Good deal.
We talked a lot about who coaches the coach, right? I mean, kids get coached all the time. But coaches don't often have an opportunity to really get trained up, and so we throw a lot of people under the fire and
podcasts,
That's one of the reasons.
resources.
Well, we were in that mode of talking about why we're doing this.
Yep.
Yeah. Was it number 5?
Yep.
Number 6, new season means getting better. That was episode 112. So that was the beginning of season
2.
9 or season 8, I think.
Oh, 112. Okay.
Yeah, because we're at like 160. It's probably.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, 160. This is 170, I think, maybe today.
It doesn't seem like that long ago
170.
we did something for 100.
Well, 100 is like number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's the 9th most downloaded episode. Number 100.
What's 7?
7 is Finding Joy.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Yep.
Coulter Cleveland, episode
Hey.
101,
How
a
about
journey
that?
from high school to the next level.
All
Coulter's
his-
still playing college football.
Yep. Davidson University.
It's probably close to his last year, isn't it?
He's a junior
Yeah,
this
I
year.
never know
And
where
I'm not for
kids
sure
are
if he,
because
I'm
of
not
the
for sure
COVID.
about the red shirt. He might have got red shirt his freshman
COVID
year.
year. He's
I
still at
saw
the same
Coulter
school,
amazing.
though, right?
It was fun. Oh yeah, he's
So he
same
committed
one.
to Davidson, went to
And,
Davidson, played a lot last
he-
year.
He started last year, and
He was the starter last
yes,
year.
had
Yeah.
a good year, really good. You looked,
He did look good.
I'm telling you,
saw a lot of
looked
video.
Good, looked
Yeah.
good, and had some big games with his feet and his arm.
Mm-hmm.
And look, I assume he's going to have a good year. I saw Coulter at a high school football game. Actually, it was funny because so the Meigs High School quarterback now, the starting quarterback is Gunnar Cleveland,
Yeah.
who is Coulter's younger brother.
And the next one's probably going to be a Cleveland, too.
The next one, Asa Cleveland, who is not brothers with Gunnar and Coulter and Griff, but it's it's
Gunner
the
is the quarterback now.
Yes.
He was the third Cleveland to do it.
he is the third Cleveland, right? So you
Because
had Coulter,
Griffin graduated
and then Griffin.
last year. Yeah, the second.
Cleveland was the second quarterback who took
Holy
over after
smokes,
Coulter,
that's
and now,
right.
and Gunnar was down there and he chucked a touchdown, and Griffin and Coulter were there. We sat close to the Cleveland family.
Where was this?
This was at a 7-on-7.
Oh, okay, recently.
And they're down there, and I said, "Well, at least we finally have a Cleveland that can throw football." But it didn't come off as well as I thought it would.
They didn't find it funny.
But the very talented family there, and Asa Cleveland is the junior high quarterback right now, and I think he's a 7th grader, and he's stuff. They're
Some good genes.
those
huh?
kids know. Those kids know, or that family knows quarterbacks. I guess. So yeah, excited about that. That's cool. He was number 7.
That's my family, too, by the way. You do know that, don't you?
Yeah, I did. Yes. Well, yeah. That's the grandpa is
My uncle.
yes.
Steve, yeah, my
Right,
dad's brother.
Steve's Jared. Yeah.
And his mom is my first cousin. So let's see, where we at? 8.
Yeah.
A special episode 85, a special coach and life announcement. So that's when we just announced that I was going to
Oh,
coach
there we
at
go.
Eastern.
Okay.
And let's see.
And 9 was the 100.
9 was the 100, and then 10. Man, 10 and 11 are really close, and so I want to say them both.
Yeah, I was saying both.
When kids' passion does not, episode 97, when kids' passion does not match our passion for what we want our kids to achieve. Man, that's tough. That's a good conversation. We need to go back, episode 10, what people want us to talk about, or episode 10, season 10, structuring it, right? Let's think about it. What people want us to talk about, write us, call us, text us, give us some topics. If we don't have one from you, let's go back and revisit some of those early conversations, because some of these were really good.
Yeah, and I would.
Good topics. I mean,
we did
whether
it.
we had any answers or not, it might not have
Yeah,
been good.
well, I know we did an episode one time of what really matters. Talked about what
Yes.
really matters.
That was actually one of the ones I was listening to this morning.
Yeah, and it correlates really well with that.
Yeah.
Does what happens when your kid's passion doesn't match your passion or whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
because it happens a lot.
It
folks.
does.
And,
Yeah.
there's a lot of mistakes to be made in those moments and those times.
Yeah. Yeah. Number 11 is episode 139, cringeworthy things heard from the stands.
That
was
was
kind of funny. We put some humor into it. We
Yeah.
had to because it was gonna
But
hit
that
people pretty hard.
We did a different one with Parents Are Crazy,
Crazy
right?
Parents Are Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we ended up following it up with talking to Mike Deegan, who wrote a book called Let It Rip, and then he had a chapter called Parents Are Crazy.
Yep.
Which
I was reading out of Let It Rip the other day.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Reading a little bit.
It's a
about
good
that.
book. It's a really good
It
book.
is.
He's a great coach.
It's well structured too. So I mean, you can almost use it as an encyclopedia or just
Yes.
a good resource.
Yeah, you don't have to read it all in one sitting.
No.
Yeah, that's kind
Good
of that was kind of my intention too. The way I wrote mine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So cool. Yeah, it's not that wasn't to toot our own horn or anything, or to say, hey, let's go back and revisit conversations because they were really good. It's not that we
Tells
had
you
a
what
great
people listen to.
conversation. It's not that we were great. That you and I are great. It's just that it was a great conversation.
Yeah, right.
That's the whole point. Is
Sure.
I think there are some things that we could really easily revisit because they're still relevant. They're always relevant.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for sure. I had another thing I was going to play you, didn't I?
Yeah.
Let me find it. So this is still from the same episode, more toward the end, and to the point of lack of participation. We haven't had as much participation, and so we want to try to do what we can. We're kind of setting up the whole idea of the next episodes coming, 2, 3, 4, and so on. We're going to be about our player development program that we had a vision for. So,
A lot of change happening, and we're either going to just continue doing things the way we always did, and we're going to see less and less kids have a desire to play. And so we're going to have to consolidate teams. We're going to see less and less dads or people, quality people who would really be good coaches want to volunteer to coach because they don't like the options that they have. And so their kids start doing other things. And we can blame video games and we can blame all kinds of things. You recently wrote about this as well. Yeah, you recently wrote an article about this, Pat. But the truth is, what are we doing? What are we providing that's better? That makes a kid say, "Man, I really want to do this.
Right.
I love this. I love what you guys are doing." You got to bring value, and if there's no longer any value in the organization that you're running, then it's going to die.
Right, exactly. I think that's one of the biggest things that have hit me personally over the last 5 or 6 years is I've kind of transitioned from a fundamental mechanics coach more to a mental passion type of coach, and we're not doing enough.
There's an episode.
Yeah, exactly.
Put a mark on that.
We're not doing enough globally to nurture the love of the game, and again, forefront right here. I'm one of the biggest failures of that. So I have a license to talk about that and share some information that might be able to help other people.
yeah.
But,
Well, do you have any?
So yeah,
There's a couple things that hit me there.
yeah. I want to wait to hear what you thought about one. There was one comment in particular
What's that?
that I went, ooh, that has happened in the last 4 years. Having to consolidate teams in youth ball because of lack of participation and interest.
Oh, yeah,
We've seen that in Meigs County.
sure. I mean, we've
We've got an entire program that completely doesn't even exist anymore, right? An entire
you
Rutland didn't run a youth program this year. did
Our
they?
junior high program didn't exist this year either. So
Well, but that was just this year, though.
Yeah.
I mean, well, I guess Rutland was just this year too, right? Was this the first year they didn't do any youth ball at
I
Rutland?
think they didn't do it last year either. They
sad
do
to me.
use the fields and they do have kids sign up, but they go
But they go play for a different. They
but,
consolidate.
I mean, here's the thing. I mean, you don't. It's not just Rutland. It wasn't very long ago. I remember when I played. Say 20 years ago. Is it 20 years? No, 30 years. 30 years ago when I played. There was in Middleport, Ohio. There was 2 little league teams. There was 2 in Pomeroy. There was 2 in Rutland.
Yeah.
There was 6 teams, 6 12U teams in our recreational league that came out of Meigs County, or
Yeah.
no, Meigs local, Meigs local school district. That doesn't count. You know, the Tuppers Plains teams and
What
the
age group
regional
are you
teams.
talking about?
12U,
Yeah.
12U, and this past
your
year,
little league age.
yeah, this past year we had to combine to make. You know, actually the last 2 years I think we've
Right.
had to combine
Right.
to make teams in all three of those locations. So, but the numbers are looking better, and you know, in the years to come. So that's a good thing. And you know, those kids that aren't playing there, that 12U group, that you know, I think about those kids when we're saying, okay, we're providing a 15U option now. We're providing a 17U option, a 19U option, and here in Meigs County. And by the way, you don't have to, you know, travel
Yeah.
long distance. You don't
Yeah.
have to stay in hotels. You know, there will be a monetary, you know, element to it, but
Sure.
it'll be less expensive, and
It will be a fraction of the expense.
sure, and you know, I was talking to Brock last night about, you know, kind of his expectations as far as the summer goes, and you know, that's one of the things that we have to, you know, have to adjust to in today's age too. There's people that coached that you would ask right now, you know, what happens if a kid goes on vacation?
Yep.
And it would be unacceptable.
Yeah.
Right.
There are teams like that.
And you know, I feel that I was in an era where you know, I didn't go on vacation because
Right.
I didn't want to miss games.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was unacceptable to me. Now, I did miss a game for something personal one time, but you know, our participation's down.
It is.
There's a reason.
It is.
And sometimes it is because we're not allowing our kids to be kids, right? We're not allowed, and you know, here's the thing: one of the most important entities that we have in life and in the world is the entity of family. You know, that institution, and we're losing that. And you know, as baseball coaches, as people that love the game because we love people, we have to do what it takes to support that institution of family. Otherwise, you know, because here's the thing, you know, the truth is the deterioration of the institution of family is one of the reasons our participation limits are low.
Yeah.
Our participation numbers are low.
Yeah. And baseball is just a microcosm of what the, you know, it's a small symptom of, you know, it's I guess it's a thing of seeing, it's a small way to notice the deterioration of family.
Yeah.
I mean, just look around our world, look around our country,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you can point it all back to that, the deterioration of the family. But yeah, so that's the reason why we want to fill those rosters up to 18.
Yeah.
Right? Because if somebody says, we actually communicated that in our advertisement about the tryout, I think.
Oh, you mean
you
like-
had it? You wrote up the write up, the press report release on it. You know, one of the reasons why we want to, one of the goals of this team is to give kids an opportunity, you know, families an opportunity to play baseball in the summer, and also go to football practice and basketball camps and
Right.
family vacations and things like that. And you can do that when your rosters are a little bit larger, right? But you also have that's a positive. You also have those weeks when no one is going on vacation,
Right.
and no one's missing games, and a lot of those kids aren't playing.
Yeah.
So you know that's
Which could be a negative, but is also a positive. And it's, you know,
Yes.
this is some things that
Yeah, I don't see that as a negative, because there's a lot of value to being on a team, regardless of whether or not you're on the field or in the lineup. And we've talked about that ad nauseum. But
right.
but we know
I'm
it's
still
a
not
negative.
sure everyone buys it though.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, there was, you know, Maya played on a team this year that had 13 kids. Sometimes they had this past tournament they had 10. So you know, he played. a lot
Everyone was
more.
happy, right?
Yep. And there was times he had 13 and he was setting out, and we had conversations of well, what are you taking away from it when you're not in the game?
Yeah.
What are you doing? How are you impacting the game? And how can it benefit you? And I think it was very good for him in a lot of ways. So hopefully
It is good. It's good. It's good for everybody.
Yeah.
To experience that. Yeah.
And by the way, when you're all of our parents and players out there that have the aspiration of playing in college, you're probably going to experience that.
Yes.
You're probably going to experience that. So
Yeah.
you might as well get good at it.
One of the two of the best players to ever come through. Well,
Yes.
let's say three. Let's stick with all three Meigs County schools right now.
Yeah.
Three of the best players in the last 5 years to come out of Meigs, Eastern, and Southern.
Yeah.
Ethan Stewart, Matthew Blanchard, Will Wickline. Three of the best players to come out, and they all listen to the podcast. So there you go. You guys got a shout out, and we love you. We love all of you. They were all there yesterday too, which is pretty awesome, right? At some point, they were all there. Will was there for the morning session. Matthew was there for both sessions. Ethan came and helped you at your camp, and that's also just an example of why they were three of the best players, because they love it. They want to be around it all the time.
They
right?
do. Yeah.
I mean, it does not matter what we're doing. If it's baseball, Matthew is there. If he's got a girlfriend too, right?
Oh yeah,
someone who wants to be a wife someday, right?
She is
she is phenomenal.
Is a baseball.
He's got the right one, doesn't he?
He does.
Yeah.
Yes, he does.
So
speaking of passion, when our passion doesn't meet, I'm not for sure. Sydney might have more passion about Matthews.
Matthew's a cool cucumber, isn't he? He is.
He's a calm cucumber.
Not much gets him hot and cold. He's right in the middle. That's what's made him great.
Yeah.
Ethan's the same way. Will learn to be that way. Will was pretty hot. He was a fiery guy, but I saw the maturity in that guy as he got older. And he was impossible to beat. I mean, when he had the ball on the mound, he was going to beat you, and he believed that. And but anyway, what the point of this is, three of the best players come out of our schools, and you ask anybody in Athens, they would say the same thing, because they beat these guys. Southeast Ohio, you could say three of the best players come out of Southeast Ohio, went on to play college baseball. How much did they get to play? Day one. First year college baseball, how much do they get to play?
Limited.
Not much at all.
Not much at all.
Right?
Yeah.
And it says nothing about them and their ability to play. We know they can play. It just shows you the pool gets a lot larger. The pool of great athletes gets a lot larger the higher up you go.
Yep. And here's the thing. They played less.
And they love the game more.
And they worked a lot harder.
They worked harder. Yeah. Every
Because
single day.
they wouldn't have made it if the next season if they didn't.
Oh no! Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's
That's good stuff.
It is. It's a harsh reality, but it's a good reality. It doesn't have to be harsh. It could be. It can
There's
be really
value in it.
beneficial.
Absolutely.
And it's valuable. Right.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah. So we look to have. You said we ended up with 53 total.
To be honest with you, I can't.
What did that second session have?
The second session had, I think the second session had 25.
Okay.
So
48.
But
because Brock said he ran out of sheets and he printed
true.
50.
And there was only 23
So
in
I
the
feel
first,
like
so it
there
must
was-
be more.
I feel like
See,
there
there were
was-
some kids that showed up late to that second session.
Well, when we counted 25, I think a few more showed up. I felt like there was 28 because I think there was 51.
Well, and
No. There may have been 50 right on the nose. And
Nah.
there's another kid who texted me and said he wants to play, but he couldn't be at the tryout.
we have a few of those actually. Yeah,
That's fantastic.
yeah, we
That's
have a
awesome.
few of those. So we're well over 50.
So that's so over 50 kids for three teams, a 15U, a 17U, and a 19U. It's exciting.
It is
It's exciting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hopefully it's something we can start it and not start it, but rejuvenate it under those three program, the three teams
Revive,
under
yeah.
the same program.
Yeah.
And
It's a
build off
good
of it.
program. American Legion baseball needs to be strong
You wanna
in
know
every
something else
state
that was
of the
pretty cool?
United States of America.
It is, yeah.
It
And
needs to
I
be.
talked about that a little bit
Yeah.
to the guys of what it means to play on a Legion team. I think there's
A little extra pride.
yeah,
A
absolutely.
little,
you have
extra, a little extra purpose.
yeah, you
in
have
playing.
something to play for
Yeah.
there. There's
Yeah.
an element there that has been
Yeah,
around
ask-
for a long time.
Ask the people who played for Team USA what's their favorite baseball experience.
Yeah,
They'll tell you.
yeah,
And have you ever watched
Something
a Team
different
USA
about
game? I mean,
a baseball
I've
game?
watched a few, right?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
but it's not nearly as popular, I guess, is what
No.
I'm saying, as college baseball. And
they
and
play. It's hard to
Major
find
League
them
Baseball.
live.
It is hard to find them.
I think they play at weird times.
but they'll tell you.
Well, it
that
depends
was my
on where the
favorite.
Olympics
That was
are.
my favorite. Like World Baseball Classic. There are
Yes.
guys who like that better.
Yeah, I really got into that.
I did
and I
too.
liked it.
I didn't think I would, but I loved it.
Hold
I loved
yours.
it because there were live games on at 5 a.m. when I was on the treadmill
Yeah,
downstairs.
whole years, Coach Detweiler. They didn't have a pitch count clock or a pitch clock in World
Yeah,
Baseball Classic.
they went backwards in a lot of people's eyes, right? Like the game got worse because it took too long.
What do you think of the pitch clock now?
Same as I did day one.
Yeah.
I could do without it. I mean, I don't really notice it as much anymore.
I don't think it's ruined the game like I thought.
It hasn't ruined the game. But if they said we're gonna do away with this, I'd be like, great,
Yeah.
awesome. But I don't like the fact that I don't notice it as much anymore probably means that's a good thing.
And I don't really know. I don't know. The goal of it, supposedly, was to speed the games up, to make them more watchable,
Right.
enjoyable. And I don't notice that they're a lot shorter. Like, I'm not like, oh, wow, that was a good, quick baseball game. That, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and did it add a bunch of fans, a bunch of new fans to the
That's
game?
a good question. I did see some
'Cause that was another
reports,
goal.
but I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows? Have to look.
Oh,
into
you
that
can make a
anyway.
poll say whatever you want to say.
That's true.
We know
you can,
that.
You
We're
can make
in
a
election
weather radar
season.
say whatever you want too.
It's crazy, man.
We were supposed to have anything
recently.
yesterday, and it didn't rain. I think
we were supposed to have rain, right? All day.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah,
And
we
it
were supposed to have rain all day.
When we went to that Copperheads game a couple weeks ago or last week, we weren't supposed to get.
By the way, I'm wearing those shoes today. They're all
You got
dried
them all
out.
cleaned up.
There was nothing on the radar that day, and it
Zero.
poured. It poured and poured for 4
Oh.
hours. They couldn't get the game in. They ended up having to cancel the
Yeah.
game. Unbelievable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be a great career to be in, I guess.
Yes. Weather service, right? For sure.
So, did you have enough energy to do your camp?
I did, and I would say the drive and the sleep is what's bothering me the most today, because I mean you had the most physical activity going on in our tryouts. You hit the fungos,
Yeah.
which my
Oh,
coaching
that's
staff
fun,
is
though.
enamored with your fungo skills.
They
You're
are,
their
huh?
hero, and then your Eastern collared fungo bat that you use. We need to get one of these.
I
almost fired a couple assistants,
He
yes.
had it in his hand. He's
yeah,
like-
he loves it.
I said, "You like that green, don't you?" And that's actually when we started laughing. But you stole him from one school. I'm trying to steal him from another one.
I didn't steal him. it was on his own cognizance of this.
There is no recruiting going on here. OHSAA, Emily Mason. There's no recruiting going on here.
Not post junior high.
That's right. That's right. We're knocking on those elementary kids' doors, man. No. Of all places, they don't have to worry about it as much. They don't. You watch, the one time they would care about Southeast Ohio would be something like that.
Yeah, right.
Because every other thing they don't think about.
Yeah. Another thing that was neat, you talk about Ethan being from Eggs and Wickline being from Southern and Maddie being from Eastern. We also had all three Meigs County high school coaches at those represented at those tryouts yesterday.
We did.
Because Coach
Yeah, you mentioned, I didn't see, I talked to Scott, Coach Wickline's brother, early in the tryout. Of course, the tryout was going on. There was 50-some, 28 kids or so there, and we had to keep our attention there. But you said Kyle was there too. We should have had him come down on the field.
Oh yeah, I never.
That was a mistake on our part.
Well,
An oversight on our
I
part.
didn't talk to him, and I didn't know. Like, I don't know. I guess I'm weird about.
He and
things
I
like-
chatted a lot about the Legion program on text.
Did you
last
Okay.
week? Yeah,
I didn't. I went on to be like, "Hey, coach, come on out, and he'll be like, oh,
Feeling
I don't
like
know.
maybe not wanting to.
Yeah, right. So I mean, obviously,
Well, just a gesture, I
He's
guess.
more than
Like, it's
welcome.
not like it's you and I are doing this. I mean, we're doing it. We're doing it for
Well, and that's, I guess,
all three of our schools.
that's
right?
my point. Is I just stood around a lot yesterday during those tryouts. I took some notes and things
Sure.
like that, and went and picked up some foul balls here and there. But yeah, I was
Oh, did Dustin yell at you for not going and chasing foul balls?
Coach Huffman, man.
Who was it? Somebody walked up. I think it was Woody. He goes, "He's rough, isn't he?" That's how we do it out there, buddy.
He was a little
What was
flustered.
funny
wasn't
was the very next foul ball that went out. Did you see all those kids? Like, so coach gets on him because nobody was going to chase a foul ball. So he's like, everybody go get it. They all went. And this is a tryout. This isn't even like a practice,
Yeah.
right? But it's like, it's basement. There's expectations, right? You gotta meet the expectation. And the next foul ball that went out, they couldn't get out of that dugout fast enough. They were racing each other to go get it. And he's like, see? He's like, parents probably hate me, but I don't care. I'm not here to make friends.
Yeah.
We're
No,
not.
if you're-
We're here to make them better.
Yeah.
We want people to be better. And if
sure.
that means that you don't like me, oh well.
Yeah, that's a
They're going to be better.
responsibility.
They're going to be better people.
Sweeping
Yeah.
the dugout.
Right.
Playing them out.
Right.
Raking the bases. You got to do those things.
Yep.
If you don't have a game.
Yep.
You run out of
I
baseball.
raked your whole field yesterday. Did you see me?
I mean, you could have just drug it. I said you could. But
I like
you,
your field.
you ain't quite about it.
I listen, everybody. Everybody in the Southeast Ohio area who listens to our podcast, you're going to be Division what next year?
I don't
Let's
know.
not open up that conversation now. Yeah, we're going from
I think we'll be
4 divisions to 7 in the game of baseball here in our
Yeah,
state.
I think we'll be Division 4.
So you need to vote for Megs in Division 4 for Field of the Year. Complex
I'm not
of the
even
year.
sure how that works.
Your complex
I have a
is-
lot of questions about how we're going to do our district meeting and things like that now.
Oh, yeah, me too. Yeah.
But yeah, our complex is really nice.
It is.
Our football field.
Your school district did it right, man.
They've done a really good job.
Yeah.
They have. Baseball, softball, football, they're kind of in the same area.
I told you, as I'm at a football game there. I mean, if those of you who don't know what it's like their football field sits here. Like all of Meigs County is a hill, right? It's hills.
Yeah, we
and-
build everything on
yeah,
this.
and so the junior
Flat
high is
it
up here. Then the football. Some people park up here and walk into the top of the football stadium.
Yeah.
Right. Others park down below and walk in the bottom. So you got the stadium and the football field, and then right beside that is the baseball field, and then even further down is the softball complex. And you used to not be able to see all of that. Like when you and I played, there were trees and wooded area and things like that. It's all been cleared.
Yeah.
It's not all been cleared. Like, I mean, the
Well, a lot
cross
of it
country
have.
course goes out into the woods still. There's still wooded area back
Oh,
there.
right, yeah. And it's growing back.
But the sporting field complex is pretty clear now. But the sun also goes down right behind that
it's
hill.
a great
And
view.
so usually, in football season, you're talking, it's middle of the second quarter, but when the sun starts going down, maybe
Probably.
early in the year,
Yeah.
right? In those September sweltering heat games when we should be playing baseball in the fall instead of football, we should swap seasons.
That's true, but then I've thought about this because I used it as an argument yesterday. I had a player tease me about. He said he's going to pick up golf. He's going to stop playing baseball and play golf. And I
So
said,
you'd be competing with golf in the fall.
you
then.
would, but right now it's football. And I said, you wouldn't be giving up baseball for golf, buddy.
That's right.
Nah, he's just giving me our time. But
if you love it, you'll play.
yeah,
I mean,
if we switch over,
kids
that's
say,
true. But you know what? I think
Whatever
here's a good conversation to have for us is, I don't know that we could, probably not, probably wouldn't. I
Yeah,
think,
we're over an hour now.
Are we?
We had to
we
do a
could
new one.
anything.
Yeah.
Golf could talk about golf. I think golf helps a baseball swing, but I think baseball hurts a golf swing.
Oh, there's no doubt about it.
The baseball hurts a golf swing.
Yeah, like
'Cause
even
of
a
the hips.
fungo, even hitting fungos does. Like
Oh,
it
here we
takes
go.
me-
We're going to hear about his 44.
It takes me a little bit to get to get back into the golf swing. I'll roll over something, or I'll hook a lot of things.
Well, fortunately for me, I never had a good golf swing. So
I don't
swinging a
have
baseball
I don't
bat-
have a good golf swing either. But I agree with your point that I think baseball probably does mess up a golf swing a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't mess it up. It takes some time to adjust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But there are a lot of principles about the golf swing that certainly absolutely work with a baseball swing.
Sure. Starting with the mental side.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation.
It is.
So, yeah.
Well,
Yeah. What we
we'll
think?
continue to have conversations. We have
will.
for a few years, and we'll continue to do it. Going into season
New conversations.
10.
Next week will be season 10. I've got new music lined up for us. New intro, outro
Nice.
music. Yeah.
Good deal. You have a new
Yeah.
logo?
No, not a new logo. I updated.
We don't do that every
I updated
season.
our icon a little bit. I kind of like the one that we have, just with like you and I in baseball uniform.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of where we're
I
at.
like it.
Still.
I took it one time and made us comic book characters.
Ooh.
Nah, it wasn't
Did
that
you?
good.
It didn't come out as well.
Nah,
that
not
would
really.
be. That's all about like caricatures.
Yeah. Because we tried to get someone to draw us that one time to see
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It does. I'll have to send you a picture. I might have deleted them the other day to make room on my phone.
You
for
could
pictures.
take those pictures and turn them into comic book characters.
Yes.
The existing ones.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at that.
Okay.
Let's try it.
All right. See you, everyone.